Hello everybody, this is General Yanis, and in today's Death Guard Tactics I would be looking at some battle groups formations that have good synergies for the Death Guard. So without further ado, let's look at it. So a battle group, for a lack of better name, would be at some example of a group or a formation of units that work well together and give extra good synergies, and they can be considered as a Lego building block for army creation. So I will be discussing some compositions of such battle groups and the utility on the battlefield. And I have in this presentation I have 5 examples of some battle groups. So let's take a closer look. So the first example of a battle group would be a Poxwalkers+Typhus and friends. In order to use Poxwalkers as an offensive or defensive melee force, Typhus is an essential character. So the Typhus aura gives Poxwalkers +1 strength and +1 toughness, so they get up to strength 4, toughness 4. And additionally, Typhus is a psyker, so he can cast the putrescent vitality psychic power on a unit of Poxwalkers, giving them additional strength and toughness. So then suddenly they become strength 5, toughness 5, and this can be really good for quite a cheap unit to go to strength 5, toughness 5. Miasma of Pestilence or Blades of Purification are good second options for the psychic ability of Typhus, making them either hard to hit or give them +1 to wound. but the Poxwalkers don't have plague weapons, so they don't get extra benefit to create mortal wounds. Typhus is a Lord of Contagion, so he gives an additionally an aura that deals mortal wounds in the beginning of the phase to enemies that are still locked in melee combat with the units within 7-inch. And it's possible to upgrade him with 1 command point to give him reroll once to hit aura, which could be helpful. So 2 units of 20 Poxwalkers plus Typhus, that would be around 445 points in 9th edition. And the 40 Poxwalkers can deal, they have 2 attacks each in melee, so they can deal 80 attacks. And Typhus additionally has some very good attacks with his Reaper. If we look at additional units that could help such a formation, would be the Taliman. I think has a very good synergy with this type of group. He gives a reroll for all 2 hit rolls in melee combat, and because the Poxwalkers are more for melee, this is really good. And they don't have a very high weapon skill, so they will benefit a lot if they can reroll all failed hits. So standard Poxwalkers only have 5+ in weapon skill, but they get 4+ if there are 10 models or more. So a 20 model would have a 4+. Assuming the squad of 20 times two squads of 10, 20, a 20 squad with 2 attacks each, that would give 40 attacks, and with the 4+, on average you would have 20 hits and 20 misses. But with Taliman, if you can reroll everything, you would get 30 hits on average. So it's a significant increase for the Poxwalkers, and you can deal quite a lot of more damage to any squad that comes enemy close by. The Noxious Blightbringer could be a good character. He can add mobility by advancing. You roll 2 dice and choose the highest. And Poxwalkers are very slow, and Typhus is also slow. So if you want the group to advance and come closer to objectives or the table center, or denying a certain area of the board, the Noxious Blightbringer would be very helpful. So you can advance them and come further up the field. Foul Blightspawn, of course, is a good supporting character. Enemy units that would charge this group will not fight first. And there is also some additional potential for Poxwalkers and Typhus, is that if you select the Harbinger's Plague Company, there is a stratagem you can use. For 3 command points, 2 Poxwalker units get a Deep Strike ability, or they come up from underground. And this means that in this situation they can Deep Strike in together with Typhus. So you can have 2 squads of Poxwalkers and Typhus in deep striking and being in the backfield of the opponent. That could be quite interesting. I haven't tried this yet, but then it will be more difficult to have other supporting characters in this field. I think also the the Poxwalkers and Typhus, the Poxwalker ability to, if they kill enemy infantry, they get their units back. They have the disgusting resilience, and there are many models, so it could be tough for the opponent to destroy them. Of course, now bringing big groups of Poxwalkers in 9th is a bit more risky, because if the opponent has a lot of blast weapons, they can really make a lot of damage to the Poxwalkers. So yeah, so if the opponent doesn't have a lot of blast weapons, this could be an interesting group to take in the battle. Continuing with another battle group example, this is more focused on Plaguemarines. So this is a force of Plaguemarines that will be good to take and hold objectives. So the core of it is it's Plaguemarines. It could be, for example, one big squad of 20 Plaguemarines, or 2 squads of smaller Plaguemarines, or 3 squads of 5 Plaguemarines if you are worried about blast weapons. And based on the analysis of what is the most optimal damage dealers, I think you should try to bring for each squad the maximum number of blight launchers and flails for melee. And the champion would have a plasma gun. Alternative, if you want to keep it cheap, then you can have, of course, more bolters or double knives if you are going more for melee. But still, I think if you want to advance towards an objective, kill whatever is there and take it and hold it, I guess you would need better weapons to do so. The possible supporting units for the Plaguemarines is the Foul Blightspawn is a very good example. So he has this, as I mentioned many times before, the charge aura. The Plaguemarines would fight first in melee, and he offers also crazy hard-hitting D6, let's say 2d6 strength anti-vehicle monster shooting. The Noxious Blightbringer for advancing faster upfield, as with the Poxwalkers. A Plague Surgeon could be added to this formation for rerolls of Disgustingly Resilient. He can work as a mini Arch Contaminator with the Hypertoxic Tinctures stratagem, so rerolling 1s and 2s to wound for plague weapons. Malignant Plaguecaster could be good to give some psychic abilities and have the ability to buff and protect the Plaguemarines of Miasma of Pestilence to -1 to hit, and Blades of Putrefaction. That's really helpful on the Plaguemarines to do a lot of additional wounds in melee combat. A Chaos Lord could bring reroll 1s to hit. And one of the characters in the supporting character here should be probably your Warlord, and give them the Arch Contaminator trait, so they can reroll all failed to wound rolls with plague weapons. And Mephitic Blightholder could be interesting to bring. It gives cover. It can give cover to the Marines if the Marines are wholly 7-inch within. It can additionally could potentially move ahead of the Marine squad, and by using Cloud of Flies on the Marine squad, then the opponent has to shoot the Mephitic Blightholder, and then you keep your Marines more protected. So here, as an example, 2 squad of 7 Marines with maximum flails and blight launchers, and the champion having a plasma gun is 408 points. And adding the Plaguecaster with Arch Contaminator and a Foul Blightspawn, a total group would be around 593 points. You could also add 2 Rhinos for transport, so that's plus 150 points if you want to move the whole battle squad a quicker upfield. Continuing with another battle group example, this would be a fast attacking group. The core is to have the Demon Prince of Nurgle with wings, to have 12-inch movement, Malefic Talons for extra attacks, or Hellforge Sword upgraded with the Relic Epidemicist Blade. The Warlord trait, Revolting Resilience or Arch Contaminator. I think Revolting Resilience is quite interesting on the Demon Prince, because with a 4+ disgusting resilience can be really good and gives him much more durability because he's not the toughest of characters. And the Plague Company could be Poxmongers with Ironclad Fernals, 4+ invul to Demon Engines, and for psychic ability, Blades of Putrefaction would be quite interesting. The possible supporting units would be fast demon engines able to follow the demon prince in battle. So 30 blow drones armed with 2 speeders or flesh mower are good options. They move 10 inches. They are fast and they can do damage in shooting, at least if they have the speeders. And in melee, the 30 blow drone is a quite good melee, and it can fly and keep close to the demon prince and protect him from being the target of shooting. It could be also an alternative to have the Plague Burst crawlers armed with speeders. They are very resilient, they have nice shooting, but their melee is not so good as the 30 blow drones. And now in 9th, it's with the speeders. Even if something charges them, they can dish out 2d6 auto hits, and then their melee damage maybe doesn't matter so much. My Fitting Blightholders could also be a potential here. So looking at this fast attacking group, for example, the Demon Prince of Nurgle at 200 points, 3 30 blow drone with speeders. That would be a 665 point battle group. Alternative, if you use the flesh mower, so you don't have the shooting, but you have a lot of extra attacks in melee, you can reduce the cost to 575 points. So this group could attack the backfield or go and take the enemy objective, or just quickly dash and be in your face of the opponent, posing a big threat to the opponent. Continuing with the battle group D, this would be a backfield artillery with support and protection. The core would be the 3 Plague Burst crawlers with entropy cannons, and at least one should be upgraded with accelerated entropy, giving extra damage to entropy cannons or higher minimum damage, and also plague weapon ability. The possible supporting units here, we definitely need something with a reroll once to hit. So a Chaos Lord could be a good option, the cheapest HQ option. Another good option, as I received a nice comment from some previous video, Lord of Contagion with a command point to give him a reroll once to hit could also be a good option. It's a bit more expensive than the Chaos Lord, but he's very good at melee. And he gives the melee aura of anything that charges the Plague Burst Crawler risks getting mortal wounds. So that's quite a good deterrent. And if something comes too close to the Plague Burst Crawlers, the Lord of Contagion with his Reaper, he can quickly go in and maybe take out what is charging and combating your Plague Burst Crawlers. Arch Contaminator Warlord trait is really good, and Ironclad Furnace Relic to give the +4 invul save for demon engines. So that would require the Poxmongers Plague Company. And as I discussed in my previous video, the breaking news is that a new character is coming for DeathGuard, the Lord of Virulence, and allegedly will have a good synergy with demon engines. So maybe when we get a little bit more information about this character, he would be the preferred choice for this role. Some option to think about is maybe some cheap screen infantry unit, for example 10 Poxwalkers being in front of this formation to take some of the charges and make it more hard for the opponent to come close to your Plague Burst crawlers. So in this example, 3 Plague Burst crawlers with entropy cannons would be 480 points, and the Lord of Contagion 150 points. Here this group would need 2 command points, the reroll aura for the Lord of Contagion and the upgrade of entropy cannons. And of course, as I said, it could be the Chaos Lord or the Lord of Virulence or some other character, but I think this would be a good option for the backfield. Finally, a final example, a Deepstriking battle group with the core being the Terminators, Blightlord Terminators. For example, it could be 2 5-man squads armed with Combi Plasmas, Combi Meltas, one flail, and possibly one blight launcher. The supporting units here are a bit more, it's more difficult to find some supporting units. Lord of Contagion could also deep strike together with Blightlord Terminators. He could be helpful if he has the reroll once to hit aura. He's a very good melee unit, but he's very slow, like the Blightlord Terminators. Arch Contaminator Warlord trait would help, and selecting Ferryman Plague Company would give you access to +1 to hit for the Blightlord Terminator stratagem. So that would be good for if you have the combi plasmas to supercharge them. Typhus can also deep strike and get the reroll aura, but he cannot get the Arch Contaminator, so I think he's more expensive and he doesn't do anything much better for this configuration. Another option could be to add some Death Shroud Terminator squad together with the Blightlord Terminators. They are really strong in melee. They have the small flamer pistol kind of thing, but yeah, that could be an alternative. And the strategy here is deep strike, shoot with all the weapons, charge, and then continue. Of course, making the charge is really important, and that would be really good if there was some stratagem or some new abilities, relics that make charging, adding some benefits to charging. That would be very nice in the new codex. So in this example, having two 5-man squads of Blightlord Terminators with 3 combi plasmas, 1 flail and 1 blight launcher each is 500 points, and the Lord of Contagion is 115 points, and 1 command point is used for the reroll aura of the Lord of Contagion. So let's look at some battlefield example and roles. So typically you would have some objectives, your own objectives from the start in your zone that you need to keep, and some in the opponent's zone that you might want to harass and take. So the Plaguemarine squad could be advancing and destroying whatever in an objective and taking and holding it. The artillery would secure own objective and provide fire support. The Plagueburst crawlers with a character. The fast attack group, the Demon Prince with 30 blow drones would be able to fly fast and find some good weak points, harass the enemy and attack deep in the enemy lines where there is an opening. Poxwalkers would be take and hold objectives or deny an area. They can spread out quite a lot, and they could take an area and just continue the slow advance against the enemy. And the Terminators, they can deep strike where there is some weak points or the backfield, and take and attack maybe the opponent's artillery, attack the opponent's characters, and make a bad situation for the enemy in the backfield. So this is some examples of battle groups, some nice formations with synergies. This concludes the video, and if you have some own ideas or some suggestions or some comments for these compositions, please leave a comment below. If you like this video, you can subscribe and hit the like button. I will be posting more videos on DeathGuard tactics. All right, with these words, General Yanis is signing out, and be safe out there, and good day. Bye-bye.